We get divorces for $100 million too. People have called Miranda Lambert a homewrecker, a liar, and country most dangerous woman. Blake is like, if one of us is getting a $100 million divorce, then we're both getting divorced. After Blake, she went out with Anderson East. Then she was linked to a married man whose wife read about the split in the paper. Then, 3 months after meeting him, she married an NYPD cop in secret. More noise and mess were added in each chapter. She never said what she really thought about Blake Shelton, though. Not in chats or on social networks. The songs were all she said until 2025, when she finally spoke. Fans are still thinking about what she said. Miranda Lambert didn't hear happy endings to love stories when she was a child. As a child, she saw the finish happen right in front of her because betrayal was not a story in her family. It was a case file. Rick Lambert and Bev Lambert were her parents. They ran a private research business in Texas. This was the time when oil money made people feel like they could do whatever they wanted. Rich doctors, lawyers, and sports spent like kings, partied like there were no consequences, and cheated like no one would ever find out. That's where Rick and Bev came in. Bev made people feel safe when they were with her. She would use her beauty to get right into their world. Sometimes it meant vacations at the beach, sunshine, and harmless small talk. She would sit there in a bikini with a beach bag that held more music than sunscreen. That bag could have a recorder inside, which she would use to quietly record a full confession of an affair. Rick, on the other hand, would be out where no one was looking, hiding in the sand with a camera, waiting for that one picture that would prove what everyone thought was true. Miranda wasn't stopped from seeing it either. When she was 6 or 7, she went on trips with them, but they never treated her like a child who needed to be watched. It was like she was part of the plan. With a smile that looked like it wasn't meant to hurt anyone, they would dress her up like a cheerleader selling candy for school. While adults talked and did other things, she would sneak into rooms to find music, which smart people always forget to leave behind. Love letters, pictures, notes, and songs were hidden away like secrets that couldn't breathe in the light of day. She was never caught, and she never had to answer to anyone. She saw enough, though, to know that lies do live in real homes. One case really hit home because it was more sinister than just stealing. It came to light that a doctor's wife was involved with a young drug dealer from another country. But even though Miranda was only a child, she saw adults freak out and saw how quickly a fancy life can turn dangerous. When the truth comes out, it stops being shocking after a while and starts feeling normal. That's how music can change someone. You start to think that loyal people are hard to find, and you get mad at people who think trust is silly. Things got even more important after that. Rick and Bev were hired by Paula Jones's lawyers, and all of a sudden, the most powerful man in the country came across their work. They built a case against Bill Clinton for 2 years. Those huge files did not live in a secret building downtown either. They sat in the family room, making themselves feel at home. Miranda grew up with a lot of secrets that weighed her down like stacks of paper. It felt like something out of the ordinary went wrong one day. A chopper flew over their house and didn't have a tail number. Rick knew everything he needed to know from that. He didn't just stand there and stare at it like in a movie. He got up. He began to hide what was important. Because if you spend your whole life showing how other people are lying, you learn what power looks like when it comes to killing. Right after that, subpoenas came in fast. Ken Starr's music team took their files for the coup. The Lambert family was used to following cheaters around parking lots, but all of a sudden they were caught up in drama at the White House. That was also understood by Miranda. And deep down, she began to form a strict rule. Cheaters were not cute. Cheaters' music wasn't hard to understand. People cried, lost their homes, and felt like they didn't know their own lives because of cheaters. Rick Lambert had another side that made the house feel even crazier. He had a double life before the private investigation work. It sounded impossible, but it was true. He worked as an undercover drug cop in Dallas and was also the lead singer of the country rock band Contraband in the 1970s. He worked as a patrol officer, in music vice, murder, and drugs. When he needed cover, the band gave it to him. His goal was to meet the right kind of people, and music was the best way to do that because it opens doors that badges can't. He even said it helped him get drug sellers off the streets by meeting them for sneaky purchases. He felt like it was just another day, which was the crazy part of the song. Work, then a show, then a sting, and then another show. Over-the-counter drugs through big country parties on rural land. Depending on the night, 30 to 150 people would show up. Flatbed trucks were used as stages for the music, and pickers would play until dawn. She would crawl right up onto Rick's lap during late sets and fall asleep to twangy sounds that sounded like lullabies. She didn't get music later on. It was there before she could even say what she heard. It felt like Rick's meeting with Bev was a scene from the same loud life. For work, he did college stings at Southern Methodist University for music. That's where he met her at her cheer camp. After he quit being a police officer, the two of them worked together full-time as private investigators, going after oil-rich cheats and telling stories that most people never hear. That work made them feel better for a while. Things were going great in Texas, and their business did too. They made a new home. These people had kids, cars, and animals. The outside made it look steady, like the kind of life that stays that way if you work hard. Then there was the oil bust in the 1980s, and the wave didn't just go away. Prices dropped, the economy went down, and customers went away. The phones stopped ringing. And being quiet is scary when your bills are loud. They lost the house and a lot of songs. They had to move into Lindale flats that were not very nice. It wasn't a soft change either. It happened quickly. It was embarrassing. Rick fell into a deep sadness and kept driving back and forth to Dallas to look for work. Bev stayed on the land and held things together with prayer and pure stubbornness. Each trip made him feel his pride break a little more. While the kids were at school, she fed the animals by herself and prayed for something stable. Because hope is not a good thing to have when you are taking care of a family. To stay alive. Then something changed in a way that no one saw coming. A priest saw Bev fixing up rundown places and made her an offer that sounded like it would save her life. He would rent them a cheap white farmhouse with decks all around if she fixed it up. So the family worked hard at it. They fixed things up by working together, taking their time, and not giving up. She paid close attention, not because someone was teaching her a lesson, but because it was a truth she could see. You can really fall. If you keep going, you can lose everything and still get back up. It turned into more than just a house. Once they ran out of money, Rick and Bev changed it into a music shelter based on faith for abused women and their children. People who were running for their lives were able to come in. Teenager Miranda got a good look at that. Child screams, bloody faces, and music that wouldn't stop. Women would listen to music while sitting on the porch or at the kitchen table and trying to figure out what to do next. They would also try to think that they could make it through what they had been through. They were safe, fed, and given beds by the Lamberts. But what they really gave people was a place where fear could stay away for a while. One story stuck out like a sore thumb. A woman said she was going to load a shotgun and wait for her abuser to return because she was fed up with not being able to do anything. It was Miranda's song Gunpowder and lead that used that line, the way it made her feel, and the cold bravery that came through it. You can hear what Miranda meant when she said that the world helped shape that song. It's not just a dream. It sounds like someone who has heard real women in pain talk. She didn't have any abuse in her own home. But long-term contact does leave marks. It changes how you feel about loyalty. It makes you hate people who hurt you. It also shows you how to use anger as a voice through music. Miranda was 16 years old when she wanted to get away. She wanted to do it through music, but not the kind of music that makes people happy. We begged her dad to let her go on a demo trip to Nashville. It wasn't at all what she thought it would be when it happened. People there tried to give her songs that sounded like shiny pop songs dressed up as country songs. It made her sick. She cried. She was angry, ashamed, and tired of being forced to become someone she wasn't. She stormed out of the studio and drove straight back to Texas. The ride back did not make her feel better. It made her smarter. She asked Rick to teach her guitar because she was proud and angry at him, and then she taught herself rough country riffs on her own. The entertainment business could try to control her, but she was going to cut the strings, song, herself. Soon after, she was in high school and led the house band at the Rio Palm Isle in Longview. This was a famous hole bar where Elvis Presley, Willie Nelson, and Brooks and Dunn had played. Huge people had walked on that stage before her, and she sang to rooms full of adults, smoke, beer, and loud music views. While she sang, people hit pool balls together. Requests were yelled. When people wanted to, they booed. But that bar life made her strong. It taught her how to stand her ground when no one else in the room cares about how she feels. She joined the Texas Pride Band and worked on her tough style every night. The rejection in Nashville made her stronger, and you can see how it shaped her early life. For her, it was the kind of beginning that makes fuel feel like the right thing to do. Nashville Star gave her her big break in singing in 2003. But that too had a rough start. When she was 19, She failed her first interview. She was from Lindale, Texas. They didn't give it their all, so they sent her away. Bev, her mom, was sick of taking her to all of her music gigs and seeing her miss opportunities, so she told her to try again in a different place. She sang Crazy this time. She did a great job. She was on the show. That step felt huge in every way. She had never flown before, and just being in the airport scared her. There were a lot of things that scared her: getting to Nashville, staying with 10 strangers, and being the youngest candidate by 10 years. Still, when the first show aired, Hank Williams lighting the woods on fire as the music played. That bar music training made me tough right away.